Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
So you can buy all the pantyhose you want, but I can't even buy one stinking annuity?
What about that iron lung you bought? It just cured polio, you idiot. You always fall for these scam artists.
This guy says he can get me an 8% return, honey. 8%? Don't you want to retire worry-free?
You know what? Fine. Buy it with this.
What does she know? I can't pass up 8%.
Just slow down now. Don't even think about buying an annuity until you watch this show.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with your host, best-selling author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
One of the oldest financial products available to hardworking savers is something called an annuity. Not sure what an annuity is? Well, join the club, because in my 36 plus years of working with thousands of annuities, I found them to be the most misunderstood, and as we'll see today, the most misrepresented financial product of them all. However, as you will learn today on today's program, annuities, when you boil them down, are actually very easy to understand and should be considered seriously by any saver who is concerned more with the return of their money, that is, protecting their money, versus putting it at risk and possibly losing it. Bottom line, annuities are wonderful tools for protecting your money, yet there's a problem. And it's not the annuity's fault, but rather the fault of the person or persons selling the annuity. And as a result, you, the saver, unknowingly sometimes purchasing an annuity that, one, you don't understand, or worse yet, number two, it doesn't perform as advertised by the advisor selling it to you. This is why I'm going to cover the 4 biggest financial blunders savers make when purchasing annuities. It's in part 2 of our series called What's Your Hurry? Welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, the annuity king himself, retirement planning specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And today, I'm going to share with you the 4 biggest blunders savers make when purchasing annuities, and why the financial world and many of the financial advisors representing it really could care less what type of annuity you buy from them and how best to use it. But before we get started, let me introduce the producer of the Worry-Free Retirement, none other than America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander, along with his 2 sidekicks, Mr. Derek Hudson and Miss Amelia Johnson. Okay, whether it's the latest free dinner seminar invitation you just received in the mail, or the hyped-up TV or internet ad promising outlandish returns on these annuities, if you have money set aside for retirement, especially those of you who are retired or nearing retirement that have money stockpiled in 401ks or lump sum pensions, you are going to hear more and more about annuities. Why? Because on the surface, annuities are great products for those who want to protect their money. And given the right type of annuity, a saver can not only protect their hard-earned money from losses, but if they so choose, set up a plan of lifetime income that they can never outlive, something I call mailbox money. But there's a problem. Annuities can be very complicated. That's because annuities are really not investments offered by Wall Street, but rather they are contracts offered by a legal team representing the insurance companies who sell them. As if a contract is not complicated enough, the industry is creating more complications as they are constantly creating more and more different types of annuities in all shapes and colors. So, you add the fear of running out of money, the stock market concerns with these annuity complications and contracts, and of course the opportunity for advisors and agents to make big commissions from selling them, and you've got a recipe for the saver that can make all kinds of blunders when purchasing an annuity. But seeing as though you don't want to run out of money, yes, annuities can make sense. Yet with all these advisors and all these annuities, what's a saver supposed to do, and how do you avoid purchasing the wrong type of annuity? Well, stay tuned. When I return, we'll discuss the 4 biggest annuity blunders savers make and how you can avoid them. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back. Did you know there's a financial product that recently outperformed the stock market with no risk? It's called a fixed indexed annuity. I'm Tony Walker, and for the past 20 years, I've helped 2,000 savers enjoy the safety and security that fixed indexed annuities offer. So if you have money in a 401k, IRA, maybe a lump sum pension that you'd like to safeguard, why not consider a fixed indexed annuity with Tony Walker Financial? To meet with me, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. The late great investment guru John Bogle once said of buying any investment from any advisor is to be sure that the advisor is willing to eat his own cooking. So what did Mr. Bogle mean by that? What he was saying is that many advisors will tell you to invest your hard-earned money in something they might be selling, but in many cases they themselves are not investing their own money in the same things they tell you to buy. In other words, what they tell you is good for you might not be good enough for them. Well, guess what? Just to prove that I do eat my own cooking, between me and my wife Susan, we own 7 different fixed annuities between us. Why? Because we love the thought that our money is protected, and at any time we can turn on that beloved mailbox money for the rest of our lives. Yet, there's a huge problem when it comes to annuities, and it is this. Which type of annuity is best for you, and who should you purchase the annuity from? You know, over the years, I've seen a lot of dissatisfied people who have purchased annuities, and here's 4 of the most common reasons why. I call them the 4 biggest blunders savers make when purchasing an annuity. Look at the first blunder here if we can, Derek. Yeah, it's falling for the free, I call it free steak mistake. Well, what's the free steak mistake? Well, that's running out to a free dinner seminar, letting somebody buy you a $50 steak, and then ultimately, after about 40 minutes, you being asked to turn over your life savings, something that maybe took 30, 40 years to accumulate, and plunk it down in an annuity. This is pretty scary stuff. Now, are free steak dinner seminars fine? Of course, they're perfectly legal and perfectly ethical. The problem is, many of you are getting into a hurry to buy the goods and wares and services that these folks are selling. So be very, very careful. And as my late great father would say, just slow down. Okay, blunder number 2. Let's take a look at this. Buying an annuity without a written game plan. I cannot tell you the number of people that come into my offices, they want me to look at their stuff, and they happen to have an annuity. And I'll say, oh, okay, great. Let me see the written game plan that accompanies this annuity. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't get a game plan. I got an illustration, or I got something written down on a piece of paper. Folks, this is what a written game plan should look like. At Tony Walker Financial, it begins with organizing all of the information in our proprietary software. This software is awesome, folks, because it first of all shows you what you have. Let's go to the next slide, Derek. And then shows you how we're going to use and enjoy it. That's the best part. And look at how everything is diagrammed. And what happens over the years, we start to see money come out. I call these file drawers. We see this money coming out of these file drawers, so you know exactly how much money you're going to have and when you can use and enjoy this money. This is some wonderful stuff. And if you'd like to see an example of this free game plan with your specific information, I'll show you in a minute how you can get that accomplished. All right, let's go to blunder number 3, Derek. What happens? Whoop, too good to be true. I hear it all the time. In fact, these are called income riders, and some of these income riders are advertised to pay 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. And again, while that's partly true, they're being sold as if you can make that much money on your money plus pass that money on to your heirs. It doesn't work that way. In fact, let's take a look at an income rider. Now, in our proprietary software, what we do here is you can see there's a contract value and an income account value. This particular company pays 10%, listen, 10% simple interest on the income account. Well, if I just stop there, who wouldn't buy that, right? Well, as you'll notice over here, even though the income account is $510,000, and this person began to take out mailbox money, in this example $22,000 a year, for the rest of their life, which is a lot of money, but the income account value is basically gone. What is left is what's called the contract value. And as you can tell, if you live long enough with these products, there's a good chance there's not going to be anything left when you die. So moral to the story is, are income riders appropriate? Sometimes they are. Are they overinflated and oversold? In most cases, yes. So if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And finally, the fourth blunder, buying annuities from marketing firms rather than retirement planning firms such as Tony Walker Financial. So how does this work? You're on the internet, you get a TV ad that's talk about marketing annuities and buying annuities through these firms. Folks, these marketing firms are not local. Most of them do not have service experts and many times don't even have fiduciaries. So you need to be very, very careful. When you reach out for someone to come into your home to sell you an annuity, there's a very good chance that that person is not local, nor does that person have a team of retirement planning specialists so they can help you now and in the future maximize that annuity. Well, I hope this has been helpful. When I come back, I'm going to talk to our own Connie Fortney. She's been with me over 16 years, and we're going to talk about a phenomenon we've seen that's growing more and more, and that's people buying annuities from other advisors and then coming to us later on because they're not being serviced. Good stuff coming your way. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back. Whether you're a long-time viewer of the Worry-Free Retirement or just catching it for the first time, know this: you can watch past episodes and educational clips by visiting our YouTube channel. Just log on to youtube.com and search Tony Walker Financial. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, and as we talk about the biggest blunders people make, one of those is rushing out too quickly to purchase an annuity, and here to help us think through the potential problems with that is our own Connie Fortney in our Bowling Green office. Good morning to you, Connie.
Good morning, Tony.
Appreciate you doing this 2 weeks in a row now. So how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Good deal. Okay, so Connie, let's give a quick history of your background at Tony Walker Financial, how long you've been with us, and over that period of time, how many annuities do you think we've written?
Well, I've been here over 16 years now, and as far as annuities, it may very well be close to 2,000, somewhere plus or minus 2,000, I would assume.
And you know what I think about servicing those annuities and how we've added staff to make sure those have serviced. But let's speak to the fact that a lot of people who have purchased annuities over the years, through whatever means, are not getting serviced, and what you see over the years with people coming to us who need help with those annuities.
We do see that more and more often, regularly, and they're calling to meet with you just to go over those annuities. They have questions that they feel like the advisor that originally sold that to them, they can't reach, or they won't call them back to answer their questions, and so they're frustrated. They need help, and so they will meet with you. And in a lot of circumstances, you can become the agent of record on those contracts, just so you can, in the future, help assist them with the annuity that they've already purchased.
Well, great. Well, Connie, we appreciate your time. So again, I would encourage folks out there, if you have any older annuities that are not being serviced, let us see if we can help you. There's no cost or obligation to review those annuities. And Connie, in the meantime, you make it a great day.
You too, Tony. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, folks, we've been talking a lot about annuities, but let me remind you that we are a full-service retirement planning firm. We can do just about anything for those folks who are retired or nearing retirement. I invite you to go to our website, whether it's for investments, maybe you've got a 401k, you want to talk about Social Security election, estate planning. At Tony Walker Financial, we are literally your one-stop shop for retirement planning. In fact, as I like to say, we're going to show you how to get everything under one roof. Speaking of everything under one roof and answering all of your retirement planning questions, I'm excited to announce that on Tuesday, October 27th at 12 noon, we're going to be hosting a webinar. And to register for this webinar, it's literally just questions and answers. So any question you have regarding anything retirement oriented, you need to register for this webinar. You just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on the menu bar, and go to Educational Opportunities to register. Again, it's at noon Eastern, October 27th, a 30-minute webinar where I'll be answering all of your retirement planning questions, so we look forward to seeing you then. Well, as you know, if you've been watching this show with any regularity, we're getting ready to have a special guest in the studios to talk about her live well, die broke moment. A great interview coming up. So if you're thinking about what you're going to do in the second half of life, this is some good stuff. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement for this particular segment of Live Well, Die Broke, and those moments that we all have when we kind of have to think about life and change directions a little bit. And with us in the studios today is Miss Jan Helson. And boy, you changed directions really quickly and created a nonprofit. Some exciting stuff, and we're anxious to hear about it. So first of all, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we got Derek in the shadows. We hired Derek away from you. Thank you very much for allowing us to hire Derek. Boy, he's been a good one.
I'm glad he's a good one. We were sorry to lose him.
Tell me a little bit about, first of all, just your background as an entrepreneur and where you were several years ago leading up to about 2013 when you started this nonprofit.
Right. So most of my career was spent in the food manufacturing business, and we had an opportunity after being in the business for 25 years to sell the business to one of our suppliers who wanted to be better vertically integrated here in the U.S. and made a difficult choice to move on, but we ultimately decided to sell, and at the age of 51 I was in retirement and not liking it very much after about 2 weeks, so decided to move forward in another direction.
And I'd like to ask you that because that happens sometimes. I run into entrepreneurs that are offered to sell a business. I guess at first the money looks good. I remember years ago a buddy of mine sold his business and he didn't really like the direction of his life after that. And I asked him, I said, well, Mike, what do you think about selling your business? He said, well, you probably need a plan before you sell the business. Did you feel a little like that, or how did you feel right after you sold the business and like, okay, now what?
You know, I think that by the time we sold it, we did it very quickly because we knew if we were going to do it, we needed to make up our mind and go ahead and move forward. But having done it, we didn't really have a plan. But we had other businesses that we owned as well, so it was kind of an easier segue, I think. As particularly, we had some real estate holdings that we were already involved in, so we were able to at least hold on to something. We weren't just sitting at home in rocking chairs, kind of like waiting for something else to happen. We were pretty vested in some other businesses, but still not the amount of time that we were spending in our...
However, as you were explaining to me a little bit, this global game changers you came up with, actually the idea for that, it kind of came from your work in the food service industry, correct? Could you explain how this came about?
Yeah, it did. So in reflecting about what I wanted to do going forward, started thinking about what I had been doing. And in our manufacturing business, we had a wide variety of personnel, all the way from the food manufacturing line, unskilled labor, all the way up to very skilled commodities traders and chemists. And we had a lot of turnover in our unskilled labor sector. And so we, as an organization, we started dissecting what was causing that. And ultimately, we learned that the employees were making a mistake or weren't understanding the directions or aren't speaking the language very well. And they would just walk off the job because instead of coming and saying, I don't understand, or I don't know what you are doing, or can you explain that again, they had been taught when they were young that they didn't have the value, that maybe they shouldn't ask, and they just kind of decided that they just walk off and leave. And so we had this bad turnover rate. So we started really trying to figure it out. And ultimately we learned that if we helped them know that they were secure there, that we wanted them there, we wanted them to be part of this organization and build a culture that made them feel welcome, that we had less turnover. And ultimately everybody felt better about the workplace. So, so I started when we retired and reflecting and thinking, you know, what if those individuals had been taught young to have the same things that my children had, that your children had, that, you know, that so many kids have, that, you know, about feeling good about themselves, feeling secure, feeling confident about themselves. So I try to put together a group of people far smarter than I am, all kinds of education specialists and psychological specialists, and thinking, how do we put this curriculum together that helps really young kids, elementary, preschool children,
So it's a curriculum,
build competency.
basically.
It's a curriculum. It's a school program now used in 40 states across the United States,
Oh,
12 countries.
congratulations.
Thank
Wow.
you. And it's fun. It's all about superheroes. It's teaching kids that they have this inner superhero to make the world a better place. And we're just really excited about it, and have been able to help a lot of children, work with school systems, work with after-school programs, and have seen it grown since 2013.
That's amazing. So in our closing remarks, and I don't want to catch you off guard with this, and I don't know if you've read the book Live Well, Die Broke. I've got a copy for you if you
Okay,
haven't.
great.
Okay, but there's a chapter in there about using a $20 bill to make a difference now versus later. How can you speak to and I would say it's a fact because what you're doing is amazing, but almost building a legacy now that you can kind of watch bear out. You know, the old school was you left a bunch of money and died and hoped there was a legacy, but how would you speak to the feeling you have now doing something now at this age for this many people and watching the fruits of that labor?
Well, so I agree with the philosophy. I think especially as an entrepreneur that I come to it with right or wrong, believing that whatever my experiences are or my expertise is, that I bring that to the value of how I'm spending my money, and fortunately a lot of other people's money who have invested in me and allowed us the opportunity to grow. And I feel like that having the ability to put that into action and see that become, multiply the fruits of that labor is hopefully not only more beneficial by virtue of that, rather than leaving it to someone else to build into something else, or whoever to invest. And so I believe in that philosophy. It's like raising kids. I believe in investing in my kids so that they can have the fruits of their labors and be very successful in life rather than later.
Well, I would say not only thank you for investing in your kids, but thank you for investing in all these kids. I'm sure they appreciate it, and we appreciate so much your work and dedication to them.
Thank
and
you.
Continue to keep the philosophy of live well, die broke.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Jen.
Thanks, Tony.
You stay tuned. We'll be right back. Whether you're a long-time viewer of the Worry-Free Retirement or just catching it for the first time, know this: you can watch past episodes and educational clips by visiting our YouTube channel. Just log on to youtube.com and search Tony Walker Financial.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement with the money missionary himself, Tony Walker.
Are you a saver? I know my wife Susan and I are savers, and come heck or high water, no matter what happens to the economy, no matter who the next president is, and no matter whether the stock market is up or down, our money, which is invested in these various fixed indexed annuities, is safe. Let me tell you another saver who would have loved annuities, a 25-year-old king by the name of let's just call him King Steve, okay? Anyway, in 2 Chronicles chapter 25, verse 6, it describes how King Amaziah had paid 100 talents for some warriors out of Israel to serve in Amaziah's army. However, in verse 7, a man of God informs King Amaziah that there's been a change of plans. Instead of getting what he paid for, that is, to use the Israeli soldiers to help him do battle with the enemy, God tells this king that he will not get the use of the troops after all. In other words, Amaziah just blew 100 talents for something he's not going to get. His response to losing 100 talents would probably be the same response any saver would have used when they lost their hard-earned money. In verse 9, Amaziah simply asks, But what shall we do for the 100 talents which I have given to the troops of Israel? In other words, here's what he really had to say: where's my money? And maybe that's you. Back in February of 2020, you had $300,000 in your 401k plan. Then out of the blue, the government shuts down our economy as a result of the flu, and all of a sudden, you wake up to see your 401k now only has about $200,000. Your response? Well, it's probably the same as King Amaziah: where's my money? You see, folks, when it comes to protecting your money, no matter whether you're a king or a pauper, the thought of losing money is not a good one. How do I know savers hate losing money? Because in meeting in person with over 15,000 savers, they all tell me they don't like losing money, which is the primary objective of annuities, to protect savers' money rather than putting it at risk. This is why my process, the Worry-Free Retirement, can include annuities so that we don't put all of your money at risk. Speaking of great biblical figures who thought like savers, the great writer and theologian Charles Spurgeon must have been a saver as he describes this dilemma of whether to use and enjoy our money now as opposed to stockpiling it for some later date. He says, "Saints know that a grain of a heart's ease is more valuable than a ton of gold." I think that what Spurgeon is saying is the same thing King Amaziah was thinking. Money used today is worth a whole lot more than money stockpiled for some future date. I would say amen to that. You know, maybe that's you right now. Maybe you are sick and tired of just hoarding up all this money only to watch it bounce up and down like a yo-yo with no written game plan to help you use and enjoy this money before it's too late. Maybe you've been thinking about an annuity, or worse yet, already purchased an annuity and don't really know what the heck the thing is and what you're going to do with it. Well, let's talk about that. You know, over the past 36 years, I've personally helped savers acquire more than $400 million of fixed annuities, guaranteeing their principal and also showing them how these annuities can be used to provide guaranteed income for life, something I call mailbox money. Our retirement planning firm of fiduciaries and service experts have personally overseen 4,000 written game plans that include both investments and annuities. We are local, and we are here to help you make sense of annuities and how best to use and enjoy these annuities before it's too late. So if you're retired or thinking of retiring in the next few years, maybe you've been laid off and have a 401k or 403b plan. You could be over the age of 59 and a half and not realize that you could actually move those 401ks, some of that money, into these protected annuities. Well, let's talk. Maybe you've even got money languishing in the bank making 0.5%. So regardless of your situation, whatever it might be, all you got to do to talk to me in person or by phone is simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Once there, your information is confidentially sent to our offices in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and we can either talk by phone or, if you like, at no cost to you, we can arrange an in-person appointment at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. So do it now. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call the toll-free number on your screen. We've appreciated being with you today. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Worry-Free Retirement. You remember, though, between now and next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.